It's space weather! Looking at the solar disk on 171 angstroms, we see no sunspots. There's a magnetically active area rising, but no sunspots, just a big coronal hole. Solar activity very low. Let's look at some other views. Here's your magnetic lines in the 304 angstroms view. You can see that extremely deep Earth-facing coronal hole, which appears to now be showing a magnetic connection to the Earth. Take a look at the, what is it, 203? 193 angstroms view. Check out that coronal hole. And 304 angstroms animation. See some filamentary activity in the northeast limb. Nothing too crazy. And those rising complex magnetic fields do not seem to be forming a sunspot yet. Speaking of which, head to solarham.net. All right, don't fight me, software, because I'll win. There you go. You can see no sunspots. And let's look at the data. Actually, let's look at the real-time solar wind first. We apologize for the delay in loading. Please bear with us as these technical difficulties subside. Okay, the BTBZ is pretty self-explanatory there, nothing too exciting. Phi angle looks like it's closing in around 135 degrees there. So, gotta assume that that's the Earth-facing coronal hole. Solar wind density, 10.05 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed has died back down to 333 kilometers per second. Let's look at the rest of the data. I did notice that the electron flux was the lowest it's been in weeks. Ionospheric electron deficit. All right, so magnetometer is still very choppy. We're getting differences in the two different satellites there. So that's something to keep an eye on. Earthquake risk for California continues. And that right there, that is the lowest electron flux we've had in weeks. Looking at the F2 ionosphere layer, it's looking pretty normal. Now, earthquakes for the last 8 hours. Quite a few. We're only going to go back 8 hours, though. So, another nearly 600-kilometer deep quake in Fiji. They remain on alert in that entire area. Chile got a 4.5, Greece a 4.6, 4.7. Indonesia got a 4.8. We're not sure how downgraded those were by the U.S. downgrade service. And for the last 5 hours, we're actually getting a lull here. So, again, San Francisco and northern LA remain on alert for a 4 to a 4.5 magnitude quake. Look at the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. Here's your GOES X-ray imager. Not a lot going on there. A little bit of activity rising, but Very low levels of activity. Here's your total electron content. Going to show up very low. And not expecting to have any position errors. Very low electron flux. And now let's get into the weeds. Random fact is going to take a while. Anybody ever heard of Gobekli Tepe? Gobekli Tepe is the oldest known megalithic site. We will leave links. You can easily search for this. It's a well-known thing. It's an 11,500-year-old temple complex built before we thought people could build things such as this, because it would have required people carrying 10-ton monoliths. Another odd site. We didn't know humans could build stuff like this that long ago because it would have required organized agriculture, and we didn't think that was invented yet. Why are we talking about it? Well, it's because of Gobekli Tepe's orientation. How is it oriented? We're not going to read the whole article for you, but originally, people thought it was aligned to Orion, the same way people thought the Great Pyramid was aligned to Orion, and it's not. It turns out it's actually aligned to face Deneb, the tail of the swan Cygnus. Many people believe this is the origin of the swan, of the stork carrying babies, rather. They believe that Deneb is where souls enter the sky world. Read the article, it's fascinating. More stuff about that, of course. I mean, always new information coming out as the site is currently being excavated. So we'll leave a link to that. Also, we recommend you search. Read up about Gobekli Tepe. It's quite fascinating. And it's oriented to Deneb, aka Cygnus X3, which becomes the celestial North Pole, replacing Polaris in the roughly 24,000-year precessional cycle. Why were they so fixated on Deneb? We're not sure, but it's one of the most reliable cosmic ray sources that we know of. And here ends today's space weather update. Thanks everybody for liking, subscribing. Please share the videos with your friends on social media. And remember, on your way looking at coronal holes, don't drink. And if you drink, look at coronal holes anyway, because they're still interesting.